Hello everyone and welcome back to another webinar with the Small Business Center, where we do webinars pretty much every week to help entrepreneurs start, run, and grow their companies. If this is the first time you're attending a webinar with us, we usually record our webinars and make it available later to those who have registered for the webinar. If you are new or if you have even attended our webinar before, we are always looking for other presenters. So if you know something about a small business that can help other entrepreneurs, small business owners, and you would like to present, please let us know and we will schedule a webinar for you. And if you want to submit your blog posts that are small business related, we will be happy to post those blog post on our website as well. My name is Rehan Abdul Mughni. I'm going to be your presenter today, and our topic today is how to effectively use email marketing to grow your business. The webinar is going to be very basic. So if you are thinking about email marketing or have experimented a little bit with it, but haven't really got too much into it, this is probably the right webinar for you. If, on the other hand, you have been doing email marketing before, and you are quite familiar with the basics, then this is not going to be the right webinar for you. We may do an advanced webinar at a later date, but this is going to be the basic webinar. So from that perspective, I will define what email marketing is very briefly, talk about some misconceptions that people have about email marketing and some ways that will benefit your business using email as a marketing tool. Having said that, I will also tell you some of the challenges that you're going to face while you do email marketing, and a couple of ways, actually 3 or 4 ways that you can use email to market your business. There are many other ways, but I'm just going to touch base on some of the popular ones. And then we are going to get into what we are going to discuss today, which is email marketing 101, some of the essential tips to start your email marketing successfully. And again, as I said, I will repeat that again, it's going to be very basic information. So what is email marketing? It is a form of direct marketing that you can use to build a stronger relationship with your customers, acquire new customers, build your awareness, and of course increase your sales. You can also use email marketing to support your other marketing initiatives. The main thing to remember is that it is direct marketing. So what does that mean? That means that this is a channel where you are actually marketing directly to an individual subscriber. Now, you may have 100 people in your list, you may have 1,000 people in your list, you may even have 1,000,000 people in your list. But when that individual subscriber receives that email, you should have your email developed in such a way that you will be talking to that particular person and not to the other thousands or millions of people on your list. That's the key to success in email marketing, keeping in mind that it is a direct marketing where you're talking directly to each individual subscriber. Having said that, there are some misconceptions with emails. The biggest one is that email is seen as a spam, and absolutely right in some ways. There is a lot of spam on email. However, if you do email marketing properly, the right way, instead of being seen as a spam, it will actually be seen as an asset. It will be seen where your subscriber will actually wait eagerly to receive your email because they know that your email will have information relevant directly to them. So if you do it correctly, then it will not be in a spam. Because it's seen as a spam, because people do it the wrong way, other people consider email marketing to be ineffective. If you do it properly, then it will not be ineffective. It actually will be very effective. And then, of course, there's a whole concept of social media marketing, and people believe that because social media marketing has become so important, that email marketing is no longer relevant, that it is old school. If you do it correctly, email marketing and social media marketing actually should work together in conjunction with each other to help you not only build your email list, but also to help you build that relationship with that individual subscriber, irrespective of how many people there might be on your list. According to Direct Marketing Association, email is projected to drive about $68 billion in sales this year, and it will increase to about 82 billion by 2016, which is only 4 years away. So as you can see, email marketing is effective. It does drive a lot of sales. Now keep in mind that this is global numbers, so obviously how much money you're going to drive or sales you're going to drive from that is not going to be as much, obviously, but it can be an effective channel. As I've already said, you can use email marketing to build relationships, build awareness, gain new customers, but you can also use it to increase traffic to your website, promote your business. And the two most important things is generate sales, and more importantly, generate revenue, more revenue per customer, i.e. repeat business. And that's the other place where email marketing becomes very effective. You probably have heard that it costs more money to acquire a new customer than to keep an existing customer. And email marketing will help you not only keep that existing customer, but to drive more revenue from that customer, therefore reducing your cost of sale, because you don't always have to keep going getting new customers, or not as many new customers, if you can replace some of that business by generating more revenue from your existing customers. Now, there are some challenges with email marketing. The biggest challenge is time, and the biggest challenge with time is content creation. Some people are very good at creating content. Some people are not very good. I'm one of those people where I cannot create content easily. It takes me a long time to develop content, to write blog posts, to write articles, and that is the biggest challenge. The second thing that people miss on is when they create content and they send out an email, they don't do it on a regular basis. Their frequency is either too much or too little or not regular enough. So for example, if your clientele, if your subscriber base are going to be receptive to receiving an email from you, let's say once a week, and you're sending them an email every day, that's too much, and you will get a lot of people unsubscribing. That could even be considered as spam. If they're expecting an email from you every week, but you email only once a month, that's too little, because you're not in the top of their mind. They keep forgetting you, and when they do receive an email which they consider to be not as frequent, they've forgotten about you. And if it's irregular in the sense that you say you will send an email every week, but you don't, you send an email this week and then you don't send an email for 3 weeks, and then you send an email and then you send an email a week after that, and then you don't send an email for 2 months, that's irregular. And again, it's going to impact how you build your customer base on that. So make sure that you get the frequency right, whether that's daily or monthly or quarterly or weekly, it doesn't matter. That will be based on your business, that will be based on the content, and of course that will be based on your subscribers. But whatever the frequency is, make sure that you get it right. And once you get the frequency right, make sure that it's regular, that whatever that frequency happen to be, daily, weekly, monthly, doesn't matter. Make sure that you do it every on that frequent basis, which means that you have to then create content on a frequent basis. If you're doing it on a weekly basis and you have 3 pieces of content in each email, then every week you have to create 3 pieces of content. That may be easy for some people, not so easy for other people. You have to develop that. Now, the other challenge is developing an effective strategy. One of the things I've already mentioned is the frequency. Frequency is part of a strategy. How often should you send an email, right? There are other, of course, strategies that I will come back to in just a minute. Things like segmentation, things like how you're going to promote your email list, how you're going to encourage people to join your email list, right? And I will come back to some of these things in just a moment. The other challenge is building an email list. If you already have an email list, then you have some place to start. But if you don't have an email list, how do you start building it? That's a big challenge. And of course, maintaining your email list. How do you make sure that it's up to date? How do you make sure that people that have bounced back, that you keep it clean? How do you make sure that people who are not engaged with you via email, what do you do with them? How do you maintain them? And of course, the biggest challenge is making sure that you don't get blacklisted as a spammer. That's probably one of the biggest problems that people face when they're doing email marketing, is that they don't know how to avoid being marked as a spammer. So I'm going to just give you some of the ways that you can use email marketing to market and promote your business. The first one is autoresponder, which is essentially this. You have a sign up on your website. So somebody goes to your website and you offer them something. Let's say you offer them, I'm trying to think of an example here. Let's say you're a dentist and you offered them a PDF file on 5 ways to keep your gums healthy, right? That's one thing, that they give you an email address and they immediately then get a PDF file that tells them 5 ways they can keep their gums healthy. And then in addition to this, on a regular basis, let's call it weekly, call it daily, whatever that regular base may be, you then send them an email. Let's just say 1 tip a week, right? How do you keep your teeth healthy? How do you keep your gums healthy? How do you, essentially oral hygiene. You send them a tip a week. What that does is that it keeps them on top of your mind. Next time they have an issue with their teeth, next time they need to go for teeth cleaning, next time they need to go to see a dentist, guess who they're going to remember? Now, in all of this strategy, I have not once mentioned that you should be selling your service. You're not. Every email that your subscriber gets from a dentist is an email content that is going to benefit the subscriber, that's going to help the subscriber keep and maintain a healthy oral hygiene, right? You're not selling anything, but when they are in need of that, they're going to remember you. Having said that, there is nothing wrong if you do sell a service every now and then. Not in every email, but every now and then. I've heard rule of thumb about 80-20%, where you're giving 80% of the time you're giving them good information and 20% of the time you're selling. And that varies from industry to industry, business to business. I actually like to be a bit conservative with that. I like to go with the 90-10 rules, where 90% of the time you're giving them good content and 10% of the time you're giving them a sales pitch. Now, even in that case, the sales pitch is not a hard sales pitch, but rather a soft sales pitch. So for example, you can say, if you come for a teeth cleaning, in this month, you are going to get something else, right? That something else could be anything. It could be a discount, it could be an additional service for a discount, or it could even be an additional service for free. It could be a variety of things. It doesn't have to be a discount. But when you're doing a sales pitch, do it in a way that it is still seen as a benefit to the subscriber. I actually am a very firm believer in the autoresponder as an email marketing strategy. It does work very well, and it will help you increase your email list, the number of people signing up into your email list rapidly. The second one is, of course, newsletter. Most people are familiar with this. This is not so much an autoresponder, but rather something that you do on a frequent, regular basis, as I was talking earlier, right? If you are a Groupon, for example, you may have a email marketing campaign that goes out every day. You may do it weekly or monthly. But again, come back to the similar type of content as we just discussed with autoresponder in terms of education. The difference between autoresponder and a newsletter is this. if somebody signs up to your newsletter today, they will receive a tip. Let's say it's a tip a day newsletter, right? They will receive an email tomorrow from you with a particular tip. If somebody else signs up next week, the first email they will get will be the same tip that I would get if I have signed up with you today. In other words, no matter when somebody signs up, they will always get the same email in sequence, right? It won't be different. Okay, so there's a question from Molly. What is an autoresponder technically? So responder is something that's automated, right? So for example, you have let's say if you use email for your personal or business use and you're going on a vacation, you probably have seen these things. You go on a vacation, you put in an autoresponder in your email, which when somebody sends you an email, they automatically get an email from you saying that you're on vacation. You may have done it yourself, you may have other people do it for you. So what happens is the same thing with autoresponders. Somebody signs up with your email list and automatically they get an email response from you. Not just once, but on a regular frequent basis depending on what your frequency is, right? So let's say you have a weekly tip, every week they will get automatically an email from you that you don't have to do anything about. Once you set it up, let's say you have a tip a week and you have 52 tips, right? So for a whole year, you put them up once, and every time when somebody signs up, they will then automatically get that tip every week for 52 weeks. Does that kind of make sense? So Molly says she uses MailChimp, and I'm pretty sure that MailChimp does have an autoresponder facility. Do make sure with them, but I'm pretty sure last time I checked that they do have an autoresponder facility. And so you can do that once. So the difference between newsletter and autoresponder is this, that autoresponder, two differences really. Number one is that once you set an autoresponder up, it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. The second difference between autoresponder is this. No matter when somebody signs up for that, they will always receive the email in sequence. As I said, if I signed up today, I will receive tip number 1, but if somebody signs up a week from today, they will still receive tip number 1. If somebody signs a month from today, they will still receive tip number 1 on the first day, then tip number 2, then 3, then 4, and 5, okay? But newsletter is different. Newsletter is different in the sense that, first of all, it's not automatic, and secondly, everybody will receive the same newsletter on this day this newsletter is sent out. So if I subscribe to your newsletter today and somebody else subscribe to your newsletter next week, and when you send a newsletter next week, both of us will receive the same newsletter. Right? So that's a major difference between autoresponder and a newsletter. But the functionality is the same thing. You're educating them, you're building a relationship with them, you're creating yourself on the top of their mind because they will remember you when they need your type of service. And you can also build website traffic because in the articles on your newsletter are not going to be full articles. You will have maybe the first paragraph and then you will have a read more, which will take them to their to your website, and the website will then have more information not only about that article but other things, and that then they can browse through your website and perhaps do more business with you. And then of course there's a thank you marketing campaign. Thank you marketing campaign is very simple. Anytime somebody buys from you, you send them a thank you note, right? You say thank you for purchasing from us, which is of course a good business thing to do. It's of course a good polite thing to do, but you can use it as a marketing strategy, not just thanking them from buying from you, but give them a reason to buy from you again. Again, that could be a discount on a next product, or it could be just a promotion on a different product, but give them a reason to buy from you. If not that, ask for a referral. they might refer you to somebody else who's looking for a similar product. If not, then ask for a testimonial. What did you like about our product? Can you say something good about it that we can publish in our newsletter, on our website, things like that. Now, there are a couple of things that I've told you that you can do with the thank you newsletter, but these are all call to actions. Make sure that you only give them one call to action. Don't give them all of them. Don't ask for a referral and a testimonial and give them an incentive to buy something, right? Ask them one thing. Of course, in the future, you can send them another email which will have another call to action, but in every email, you should only have one call to action. Don't confuse the person, don't overwhelm the person, don't give them too much things to do. Ask them only for one thing. Now, the other thing you can do where you can combine some calls to action is this. For example, you can say, thank you for buying from us our product A. We think that product B will be also great for you. And if you refer another customer to us, we will give them 20% discount, and if you buy product B after their purchase, we will give you 50% discount, right? So there you're giving them an incentive to buy and asking for a referral, but in a way that will help make it one call to action, right? One is dependent on the other. Now that can get a bit complicated, so I would suggest that if you start with that strategy, test it out first with a small section of your email marketing list rather than take it out to all of them and see how that's working. And of course, there's always special offers that you can give to people. And this is somewhat of a sales-oriented email marketing strategy. And frankly, it's not my favorite, but it can work in certain situations. So for example, if you have a customer who have bought from you 6 months ago or a year ago and haven't returned back, you can send them a special offer with an email message like, we missed you, right? Please come back and do business with us type thing. So if you give them a reason, then it could work. But it is very much a very directly sales oriented. So it's not my favorite method of marketing strategy. So let's get into the meat of today's webinar, which is Email Marketing 101, and what we're going to discuss, and very briefly, setting your goals, building your list, developing your content, engaging with your subscriber. This is going to be the important bit, as well as avoiding spam. And then we're going to discuss a bit about testing, optimizing, and monitoring your email strategy, how to maintain your list, and then we'll go very briefly on what your next steps should be. So goal settings. Now, for the last 20 minutes or so, I've been telling you to use email marketing strategy that will help you build your sales, but not to use email marketing as sales tool. In other words, don't sell, right? Having said that, you are in a business to make money. You are in a business to make a profit. And you don't make a profit unless you sell something. So your goal for marketing strategy, any marketing strategy, whether it's email or social media or whatever, it doesn't matter, is sales, right? To build revenue. So your email marketing strategy must be aligned with your sales objectives. Now, there are several sales objectives. Is it to acquire new customers? Is it to get repeat business from your existing customers? Is it to educate them, to get referral from your existing customer? Whatever your sales objectives are, you need to write it down. Now, you can have more than one sales objective. That's okay. You should not have more than one call to action, at least not more than one strong call to action, but you can have more than one sales objective, and your call to action would depend on which sales objective you're going to go for in a particular email. But always make sure that you're aligning your marketing strategy with your sales objective. Once you have done that, the next thing you will need to do is build your list. Now, if you already have an email list, if you already have a clientele list, then you're starting from a better position than if you don't. So the questions you have to ask yourself is, how will someone subscribe to your list, right? first of all, how will they find you? If you already have a list, you can send them an email and say, we are starting this new thing where we are starting a market email newsletter where we will tell you on a monthly basis something good, right? Whatever that good at be, you have to define that. So how do you use our product? For example, please sign up for the email newsletter. That's one way to do that. If you have social media profiles, you can subscribe. You can announce your new email list or new email service rather to that. You certainly need to announce that on your website, and more than announce that, you need to give them the ability to sign up to your email list. You also need to tell them benefit that they're going to receive by subscribing to them. As I said earlier with the dentist example, if you sign up for an email list, you will get this PDF file with five ways to keep your gums healthy, right? That's a clear benefit. In addition to receiving that PDF, you will also get a weekly tip on oral hygiene, keeping your teeth and gum healthy, right? So that's a clear benefit. If I am concerned about my oral hygiene, now I know that by signing up to your newsletter, I'm going to receive something beneficial to me, not to your business, but to me, right? And you want to make sure that your expectations are clear. What are the expectations when I signed up for this email with the dentist? The expectation is that I will receive an email on a weekly basis. Make sure that it is on a weekly basis. It's not on a daily basis because now you're spamming me. It's not on a monthly basis because I'm expecting something from you on a weekly basis and you're not doing that. Secondly, you are telling me that those tips are going to be useful and beneficial to me with my oral hygiene, and they are not going to be anything else, generally speaking. So if instead of sending me tips, you start selling me stuff, you are not meeting your expectations. Is your email subscription, when somebody signs up for it, is it going to be opt-in, or is it going to be double opt-in, or is it going to be somewhat of a spammy email? So for example, if you already have a list of email addresses and you enter them into your email list to market to them without getting their approval, then that's not opt-in. Opt-in is when they have given you the approval to put them on this list, to send them an email on a regular basis. That's an opt-in. Double opt-in is when they have signed up on your website. For example, they receive an email which they have to then confirm that they want to sign up for them. In other words, they are confirming twice that they want to opt in for your newsletter. Is it easy to subscribe? Is your subscription on your front page, or rather on every page on your website? Is it, how many questions are you asking? Are you only asking for their email address, or are you asking also for their first name and their last name? Or are you also asking for their mailing address and their phone number? Or are you also asking them their age, their salary, the city they live in, and things of that nature, right? The more questions you ask, the harder you make for them to sign up for that. The question, of course, you have to ask yourself is how much is too much or how much is too little, right? Some people say, just ask for their email and be done with it because that's the easiest way to do. Some people would say, ask them at least their first and last name so that when you send them an email, you can address them with their first name or their last name. Other companies ask for all sorts of information, right? The more information you ask, the harder you will make for them to sign up. It's for you to decide how much is too much or too little. In either way, make sure that you go for the quality, not the quantity. Some people would say, it doesn't matter how much you have, how many emails you have, if you can convert 1% of them, then the more email addresses that you have, the better. Other people will say, well, it does matter how many email addresses you have, because if you have good quality email addresses and you convert 10% of them, that's better than converting 1% of 100,000 emails or 10% of 10,000 emails, right? You will get the same sales revenue out of it, but good quality email will be easier to maintain, easier to manage, and easier to build relationship with, right? And make sure that you add to your list every day. Make sure that you're promoting your list every day in some form or another, whether it's on your social media sites, whether it's on your own website, whether that's on your email that you send out to other people. Make sure in your signature line you ask them to sign up to your email. And even within your email, make sure that it gets forwarded to other people so that you can build your list on a daily basis. Now, developing content is going to be the next challenge that you're going to have. When you are developing content, make sure that that content is contributing positively to the user experience. I've already mentioned that, but I'm repeating it here because it is important to keep in mind that you're not always promoting yourself. Write a subject line that will encourage people to open your email. Now, when I say a good subject line, I don't mean a deceptive subject line. Don't use deception to get them to open an email. But make the subject line irresistible, make it compelling, make it worthwhile for them to open an email. And when they open an email, make sure the content is worthy enough so that they will click and go to your website if, for example, it's a newsletter, right? If they're not clicking to the next stage, the call to action is the click, then your marketing is not going anywhere. You may want to include a couple of images just to enhance your newsletter, if it is a newsletter or even if it's an autoresponder. Although, and I'll come back to that point in just a minute as well, images are not necessarily always good. So be aware of the fact that images are not necessarily always good. When you're developing your content, you need to segment your list, whether that's demographically, geographically, by industry, by job function, by people who have bought from you and people who haven't bought from you. You know, you need to segment your list. Why do you need to segment your list? Because remember, going back to one of the first few slides, email marketing is direct marketing. You are building a relationship with one person individually. If you are sending a generic email to everybody, it may not do that for you. So for example, let me give you our case. We do webinar online, therefore our customer base is global. Most of our customers are from the US, UK, and Canada, but we have customers or members from other places as well. Now, lately, we have been coming across content that are very geographically relevant. So, for example, we have got information from the UK, which is relevant to the UK members, but not relevant to all other members, right? If we can send an email geographically relevant, then we will build a stronger relationship with those members because it will be the relevant content to them. If we send content to everybody about the UK relevant information, then the rest of the members are going to say, you know, why are you sending me this stuff? I don't live in the UK, right? Now here's the problem. The problem is, when I said earlier, when you're building your list, how much information should you ask? Because the less information you ask, the higher the chance that they will join your mailing list. The more information you ask, it is less chances that you will build your mailing list, right? Here's what I suggest you do. In the first instance, ask for as little information as you can possibly get away with. In that case, it's either just an email address or at the very most an email address and their first and last name. Once they have joined your list, you will then have an opportunity to ask them for more information and give them a reason why you're seeking more information. Don't just ask them to give you their industry and their job function and their city and state they live in, but tell them why you're asking for that. So for example, in our case, we can say, you know, if you tell us which country you are in, then we can send you more relevant information about that country. It's a valid reason for us to ask for that information, and if we tell our members why we are asking them, they will be more than happy to go with that. The next thing is engaging with your subscribers. So now you have developed a content that's engaging, that's relevant, that's compelling. You have a subject line that gets them to open your email, and you have a content that gets them to click on that email. Then what? Right? The first thing you want to make sure you do is that you give them a call to action. Whether that is simple click that we have already talked about, or whether it's something more than that. So for example, do you want them to register for exclusive content? Do you want them to give a coupon to buy from you? Do you want them to download a case study from your customers who have used your product? Do you want them to do what? You need to get them to do something as a next step, right? You also want to make sure with the engagement that you're giving them the ability to share your content. So in the email itself, with every content, have those social media icon, which will, when they click on that, they can easily share your content on their social media, whether that's Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or what have you. Allow them to share the content on their social media. Allow them to forward that email to somebody else who may be interested in the content. This is how you're going to be able to build your mailing list, by getting your current members, your current subscribers, to forward the content to other people. And that would only happen with two reasons. First of all, your content is good and shareable, and making sure that you're giving them the ability to share it and forward it to other people. Build trust with your subscriber. Make sure that your email messages have a link to privacy policy. What is your privacy policy? If somebody signs up with your email, would you sell that email to somebody else, or will you protect their email and not sell it to somebody else? Give them the ability to unsubscribe. There is nothing wrong with people unsubscribing. As a matter of fact, it's a good thing if they unsubscribe from you, because remember, you want to build a quality, not quantity, in your list. People who are not interested in your email, let them unsubscribe. Let them manage themselves out of your email list. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. With engagement, make sure that you're not too formal in your email tone of your voice, unless it's required in your business. So for example, if you are a law firm that deals with corporate clients, you probably want to be a little bit formal. In other places, particularly in business to consumer email, you actually want to be a little informal. You want to, for example, address your subscriber by their first name, not necessarily their last name. You want to use the word hello or hi rather than dear so and so. Make sure you sign the email with your own name, real name, or a name of another employee in your business. And use your own email address. Don't use a generic email address, and I'll come back to that as well in just a moment. Which is essentially to avoid spam. When you are sending out emails, don't use addresses such as info at, or admin at, or sales at, or press at, or marketing at. Those email addresses are usually tracked as spam emails, and you will end up in the spam box. Make sure that you don't use words or email addresses like that. Use your own email address. For those of you who receive an email newsletter from us, you know that email address is my own personal email address. It's not a company email address. Well, it's a company email, Rehan at smallbusinesscenter.com, but it's not info at a small business or marketing at a small business. Make sure that you're abiding by all spam regulation. If you're in the US, you probably want to take a glance at CAN Spam Act. In other countries, Canada, UK, Australia, Singapore, they all have local regulations. Make sure that you abide by them. As I said earlier, make sure that you are emailing in a timely manner, and not in a way that you shouldn't be. And I think I misplaced this. This shouldn't really be in the avoid spam section. This should be in the building your list section. But anyways, meeting your expectation should also be in there. Don't use a deceptive subject line. I've already spoken that in engaging with your clientele, but that's also relevant in avoiding spam. If you use deceptive subject line, you are very likely to get marked as a spam, and you don't want to do that. So be honest, have a compelling line, subject line, but not a deceptive subject line, because then you will get marked as a spam. You want to make sure that you scan your email via spam filter. There are a lot of spam filters. If you do a Google search on spam filter, you will get that. And some of them are free. Most of the major email service providers will have a spam filter. So run your email through that. Make sure that there is nothing that can be marked as a spam within your email. And please don't use the F word. F word meaning free. Certainly don't use the word free in the subject line. Certainly don't use the word free in all caps. So FREE in all caps. Don't do that. That will most likely get you marked as a spam. Where people miss out, marketers miss out, is in testing. Test everything. Certainly test your subject line. Test the day of the week you send your messages. Test the time of the day you send your messages. Test image versus text, as I have said earlier. So how do you do the test? You can divide your email list either in 2 or 3 or 4, however you decide on that, and test only one thing. So let's say you want to test your subject line and you have 2 subject lines. Send half of your list with one subject line, send the other half with a different subject line, and then measure what happens. Measure what the open rate was, measure what the click-through rate was, measure what your engagement was, right? Do the same thing with the day of the week. If you want to test on Tuesdays and Thursdays, send half your list an email newsletter on a Tuesday, send the other half on Thursday. Do the same thing with time of the day. Send half of them in the morning, send half of them at night, and then measure that. See what happens. Image and text is very important. Some people believe that if you have images, it will make your newsletter look prettier. And it's true. It will look your newsletter look prettier. But in tests after test, what people have found that text messages without any images perform better. They actually have more click-through rates, they have more call to actions that are taken up than the ones that are images only. The other issue with images is that many of the email clients don't allow or download images by default unless the user actually click on that and downloads an image. So if you have a image heavy email newsletter, it may not make sense to somebody who cannot see an image on their newsletter. And of course, more and more people are viewing their email on mobile devices, and most mobile devices today do not render images well, right? Certainly true with mobile devices like RIM, BlackBerry RIM, right? Now iPhone is a little better, Android is a little better, but many other phones are not as good. So if you have heavy image newsletter, you may have those issues. So test all of those things and then optimize your email based on the results, and make sure that you monitor the results on that. See which one is doing better, and always be testing. I mean, test is not something that you do once and once you find a better result you do go with it, but you continue testing it. The more you test it, the higher your conversion rate is going to be. Make sure that you're maintaining your list properly. Again, I will recommend that don't worry about the quantity, worry about the quality. If you start with 1,000 email addresses and you have maintained your list down to 100 email addresses, which are high quality 100 email addresses, I rather have high quality 100 email addresses than not good quality 1,000 email addresses. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you delete all bounced email addresses. Email that are getting bounced back is not even reaching the email address. Make sure that you clean your list and take them out. And then you monitor your email addresses that you're sending out that are not getting opened. If they are consistently not getting open, let's say over a period of 1 quarter or even over a period of 1 year, if there's a bunch of email addresses that haven't been opened for 6 months or a year, you probably want to take them out, or you want to segment that out and send them a different email, right? Send them an email where, for example, we miss you, or send them an email with a discount coupon, or give them send them a different email than your normal regular email address or your regular normal email newsletter. And make sure that email addresses in your list are legitimate email addresses, right? So if you have an email address that starts with any of these words, null, nope, sfdf, qwerty, email at, these are probably not good email addresses. Try them out, test them out, see if they're getting through. If they are getting through, leave them in your email newsletter list, but if they're not getting through, take them out. So here are some next steps that I will recommend that you do. First of all, if you haven't done email before, or email as a marketing tool before, then sign up for some of the email list yourself, right? Sign up to your competitors' email list. Sign up to email lists from industries that are complementing your business products but not are competing with you. Sign up for other email lists. Sign up for Groupon. Well, don't sign up for Groupon. They will irritate you every day. But okay. But sign up for other ones, right? And learn from them. See how they do things. See, what are the subject lines they use. See what are the compelling content they are creating. This will help you immensely. Instead of learning yourself through doing it by yourself, you can learn a lot from other people and adopt and adapt those strategies that other people are using. Then develop your email marketing strategy, but make sure that email marketing strategy is in conjunction with your overall marketing strategy. Don't do things half meal. Make sure that it's all inclusive with your rest of your marketing and works in conjunction with the rest of the marketing. Most importantly, start. Don't wait for all of the components to be in place. And there are a lot of components. Even if you have a big list, even if you want to start with a small part of that list to test things out to get you going, get started. That's where most people fail. They don't start. And once you get started, test, optimize, run, test again, and just keep going through that process of testing and optimizing. That's pretty much it for our webinar today. I will start answering any questions that you have. I will encourage you to join us on our LinkedIn and Facebook and on Twitter. As I said earlier, if this is your first time, we do webinar on a regular basis on a small business topic. So if you go to smallbusinesscenter.com and notice that there is no E in the end here, it's CENTR, and you can sign up for our upcoming webinars as well. Our next few webinars are going to be on search engine marketing, which I believe is the next one. We are going to do one on landing page optimization, and then we are going to do one on YouTube marketing. Those were the ones that are scheduled. Now we will be scheduling, of course, a lot more. A recording, if the recording is done properly, recording of this webinar will be available on our LinkedIn group. If you go to linkd.in/small-business-accelerator, you can join our LinkedIn group, and that's where the recording of this webinar will be available.